Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we're going to be discussing the fate of the Phoenix Lord Karandras. No real need for a spoiler warning today, so we can waste no time and just jump straight in. Okay, so as we're all aware, we've recently had the huge range update for the Aeldari, and a whole host of stunning new models. I've never been the biggest fan of the Eldar over the years, but even I have to admit these new sculpts are absolutely stunning, really giving the Eldar a range to be proud of now. However, of course, as we all know, there were a few surprising omissions from the updated units, notably the Dire Avengers, and perhaps more surprisingly, Karandras, the Phoenix Lord of the Striking Scorpions. Now, real-world reasons, it's most likely just holding things back to have something to update in the next edition, or maybe even a campaign supplement down the line. However, of course, you can't even buy Karandras at the moment. He is completely MIA. And so, considering the Eldar are the faction of the moment, I thought it would only be right to discuss just where Karandras may be, what we actually know, and more importantly what we may know of how he may return. Now, the first thing we need to take into account with Karandras is that he is not actually the first Exarch of the Striking Scorpions, as that was actually an Eldar by the name of Ara. At least that's how I pronounce it. A-R-H-R-A. Ara. Ara is noted for falling to a so-called darkness, betraying his other fellow Phoenix Lords by leading a demon attack upon the Shrine of Asur, an Eldar world located within a pocket dimension of the Webway. This attack would ultimately be defeated, with Ara fleeing off into the depths of the Webway, whereupon his former pupil Karandras would succeed his one-time mentor as the new Phoenix Lord of the Striking Scorpions. Though it is never confirmed, it is strongly hinted and believed that Ara went to the Drukhari city of Komarag, where he founded the Incubi warriors, and is the current executioner and champion of the Order, known as Drazar. Now, while all the Phoenix Lords are fairly mysterious in their actions and behaviour, Karandras is particularly notable for it, as we don't really know a great deal about him or his motivations. We know he faced his former mentor and betrayer Ara on the lost craft world of Xandros in a duel that would last an entire 17 days. Only ultimately ending when Karandras goaded Ara into a frenzy, leaving Ara to murder his own forces in a blind rage. After this, the only other real sighting of Karandras we have is during the Gathering Storm campaign, where he was assisting his fellow Phoenix Lord Jainzar and the rising Ynnari faction. There, he would fight alongside the Ynnari against the combined Tzeentch force of Demon and Thousand Suns, destroying the greater demon Vexwing in personal combat. So Karandras is absolutely no slouch. It's commonly said from here that Karandras vanished during this encounter, never to be seen since. However, I think that may be a tad misleading, as there's actually a very telling line of the assembled Phoenix Lords' departure. Of the Incarn and the Phoenix Lords, there was no sign, but for a tunnel packed with the swiftly discorporating remains of 1,000 demons. So rather than some kind of ominous vanishing, Karandras actually left this encounter alongside his fellow Phoenix Lords, slaughtering his way through the demonic invasion within the Webway. So in fact, it's pretty clear from this description that he certainly survived the encounter. So where then might he be? Well, we actually most recently received an update on the Warhammer community website itself. There, in a post covering the Phoenix Lords and their beautiful new model updates, we got a brief reference to the Phoenix Lords who were not receiving an update as well, including Karandras. The above are not the only Phoenix Lords to exist, though the others are enigmatic and solitary beings, all pursuing inscrutable objectives beyond the ken of most mortals. Some, like Karandras, the Shadow Hunter, patiently stalk foes with supernatural persistence that is measured in centuries rather than hours, continuously attempting to atone for the bloody betrayal of his predecessor Ara, the original father of the Scorpions. Irilith, the Shade of Twilight, and Drastanta, Tempest of the Starlight, Phoenix Lords of the Shadow Spectres and Shining Spears respectively, are currently recorded as missing, though that is not necessarily the end of their stories, as they will be reborn when their armour is recovered. When all of the Phoenix Lords are amassed, it is said the Rana Dandra will begin, the epic final battle that will annihilate both real space and the Immaterium alike. Perhaps Karandras' current absence can be considered a boon then, all things considered. Now that's a bit of a wink to him not getting a new model, with the perhaps his absence can be considered a boon comment. However, there's also a little key line earlier on. The Shadow Hunter patiently stalks foes with supernatural persistence that is measured in centuries rather than hours. Patiently stalking foes over centuries rather than hours. So Karandras isn't actually missing in lore at all. That description is very clearly left for Irilith and Drastanta. Karandras is quite clearly most likely believed to be out there somewhere on a hunt, stalking a particular prey. Now, just who that prey is impossible to know right now, but it certainly makes it likely that Karandras' update could come in some form of event down the line, involving whoever this mysterious prey might be. Likely candidates might be Ahriman of the Thousand Suns, involved in that last known battle of Karandras within the Webway. Maybe it could be another greater demon of Tzeentch perhaps. Maybe even the Fate Weaver itself, though I'd find that hard to believe. Maybe it could be Ara, his former mentor, though again, that's another unlikely one for me, with Drazar dying at the hands of Jain Zar, becoming reborn again in its aftermath. Though Drazar is undoubtedly still out there somewhere, the loss against Jain Zar does kind of take the steam away for me, making any figurative rematch with Karandras a little bit less exciting and dramatic, if you will. And so, who else might there be? Well, we have bigger options to consider, such as say Abaddon and Vashtor, who at this time we know are still searching for the Vault of the Old Ones. And we have a big return of Fulgrim on the way, the Chosen of Slaanesh, the archenemy of the Aeldari. However, Fulgrim will return far sooner than I expect a Karandras update, and I think the Abaddon and Vashtor story will move along before Karandras returns as well, as I really don't think we're going to see his new model until the next edition, or at the very least, the big event that will end this current edition. So, if I've got to be honest, I really don't know who this prey of Karandras may be, and so I'm really just as curious as everyone else. However, for me, with what we know in the lore, it certainly appears that when Karandras gets his new model, his return to the lore could be very meaningful, and that whoever or whatever this prey is that he's tracking, it will hopefully be impactful for the Aeldari story. But as always everyone, what do you think? Given what we know of Karandras, that he is out there somewhere stalking a particular prey, how do you think that could relate to his return? Does it involve the last battle we know he had within the webway, making it a particular servant of Tzeentch? Or is it something entirely different, unrelated? And do you think we'll receive a clue as to his whereabouts prior to him reappearing? Or will it simply be an update to accompany the next edition's Aeldari Codex? That he was simply saved for the Eldar to have something to come with the next edition. As always everyone, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.